Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 141. Before one wave subsides. In the darkness, hasty knocking sounded on the door of the Luoyang exorcism department. Who's there? It's the middle of the night. When Ben pushed open the door, his eyes still bleary with sleep as he lifted the lantern up, its light shining onto a pale-skinned youth. The exorcist Lu Su. Lu Su pushed the door open and went inside, asking Wen Ben, "Is Tegla here or not?" In the winter night, Lu Su kicked open the door and shouted, "Atai! Get up!" Tu Reinduct cursed, and Atai hurried out. Upon seeing it was Lu Su, he exclaimed in surprise, "You guys are here." "We just got here, the big wolf is organizing the defenses at the North City Gate," Lu Su said. "And Lushan's armies are currently heading down south, hurry up and take a look." In these past few days, everyone in Luoyang had been on edge. 12 cities in the Hebei region had been lost in quick succession, each and every one of them trembling at the mere sound of An Lushan's name. As soon as the armies had arrived, the gates to the cities opened in surrender. Over the past several days, Luoyang had already received a flurry of military reports, and if they did not surrender without a fight, then the city defenses, the city guards, those left behind to take care of things in the eastern capital, the vice-imperial censor, and the minister of Henan would all be beheaded. The vice-censor, B. Sichin, was currently drafting all the men and horses that he could get, and he also resettled the citizens of the Luo River plain inside the city. In the span of a single night, people swarmed the eastern capital, and it was crammed full of people from the surrounding regions. But none of this had anything to do with Atai. As exorcists, their only goal was An Lushan and the Yaoguai under his command. The troops guarding the city were Tang troops, and the troops besieging the city were Tang troops as well. This was an internal conflict, and if An Lushan's large army were to come and spring an ambush on them, though they could not fight back by killing any mortals, they could always run instead. Even if the city fell, it would probably not be difficult for them to escape unscathed. In other words, if the troops were to lose their control of Luoyang, it was very likely that An Lushan would enter the city. When that time came, they would have a prime opportunity to act. But since Lu Su and Morajin had come, Atai could not just let things be. He hurriedly wrapped himself up in his thick cloak and climbed up high on the city towers. The cold wind was piercingly cold, and Morajin was currently standing above the city gates, looking into the distance. Zhenji said before, Atai said, that we cannot participate in this battle. We cannot participate as exorcists, Morajin reminded him. But he never said we couldn't fight as mortals. But is there any meaning to that? Atai smiled tiredly. Morajin sighed. As soon as the number of dead people rises, there will be resentment. Resentment is the best food to nurture a devil, and if the war does not stop, An Lushan will only become more and more powerful. As that drags on, and with Zhenji remaining inside the tower and not coming out, you won't find that even the least bit frightening. Atai replied, so you think that the best choice is for Luoyang to surrender without a fight, so that there is no massacre? But after An Lushan enters the city, he will want to absorb resentment, so naturally he will create it. As long as he enters the city, that will be beyond his control, Morajin said in reply. Before Zhenji entered the tower, he reminded us that there are 7 heavenly formations in Luoyang, which form a protective array that Duke De laid down many years ago. If we activate them one by one, I imagine capturing and ending An Lushan here will not be difficult. When did he say that? Atai murmured, a little taken aback. There's no way that he could have foretold things this accurately. He can even predict something like this. Morajin said, when we left Chang'an, didn't we guess that there was a possibility An Lushan would cause an insurrection? Since he escaped back to Yuzhu, there's no way he would have sat idly around, awaiting death. That's true, Atai remembered the discussion they had a year and a half ago. That day, Lu Su, Hong Jun, and the rest had already fallen asleep, and the only people participating in that discussion were him, Chu Yangxi, Mo Rijin, and Li Jinglong. Back then, Li Jinglong had already guessed that it was very likely this final battle with Mara would take place in Luoyang. However, there was a last-minute change in the situation with the dragon subduing tower, so Li Jinglong had entered the tower, and had made no preparations after that. Mo Rijin had no choice but to follow their initial plan, and after confirming with Lu Su that An Lushan was rebelling, headed back to Luoyang ahead of him to plan. Tomorrow, we'll check on the 7 monuments in Luoyang, Mo Rijin said. Zhenji hasn't left the tower yet, Atai said. Without the heart lamp and just relying solely on us, we may not be able to keep An Lushan under control after he enters the city. But Mo Rijin persisted. This is the best chance. Atai reminded him, we only have one chance. Their eyes met. Atai, who was usually so relaxed and carefree, was actually very serious. Then let's hear your idea, Mo Rijin said. Tell me, what do you think we should do? Atai, wait for Zhenji to come back. The two of them were locked in a stalemate. Lu Su sat next to the city gates, looking off towards the darkness in the distance, and he said, he might not even come this way. Don't get all caught up in your argument right now. Compared to Li Jinglong, Mo Rijin lacked a bit of authority in the exorcism department, but even he himself had to admit that when Li Jinglong wasn't here, he had no way to come up with the most dependable plan for his companions to carry out. That was why he had to ask Atai for his opinion, just like how back in Chang'an, he had suggested the idea of going to An Lushan's side and becoming a spy. Right now, if it were Li Jinglong voicing this plan, without a doubt, everyone would agree. He would have considered it from every angle, and he wouldn't even give them a chance to disagree. Go rest for a bit, Atai said. You must be very tired. And saying that, he smiled at Lu Su. You didn't take good care of him. He can take care of himself, Lu Su replied, disinterestedly. He doesn't need me to take care of him. Mo Rijin glanced meaningfully at Atai, and Atai slung an arm around Mo Rijin's shoulders, saying, Bro, it's been so long since I've seen you, let's go have a drink. Why the long face all the time? Let's go, let's go. And saying this, he steered Mo Rijin down the tower. It was deep into the night, and things were quiet and calm. The warm night enveloped the Grand Canal, and the wind gusted through the huge sails. Li Jinglong rose, shutting the door behind him. He tucked Hung Jun in, before turning to put out the light. What shishan is it? Hung Jun, however, had woken, and he rose to find some water to drink. Not too long after the Zi hour. 2 more shishan and the sun will come up, Li Jinglong replied. Sleep for a little while more. Hung Jun was muddled with sleep, and after drinking the water, he felt a little more clear-headed. Li Jinglong capped the oil lamp, leaving the room in darkness. Hung Jun suddenly asked, Are you not in a good mood? Li Jinglong. Li Jinglong felt around in the dark and made his way over, pressing a kiss to the side of Hung Jun's face as he chuckled. I can't hide anything from you. The power of the heart lamp has weakened. Hung Jun could sense that the seal that Li Jinglong had applied in his heart meridian had slowly darkened. Li Jinglong sighed. That's my bad. I must regulate myself. Hung Jun began to smile at that. Li Jinglong took off his outer robe, and with his chest bare, he lay down on the bed, murmuring to himself, I've been pretty unlucky recently. No, I've been unlucky on and off this entire time. My luck's not good. The plans that Li Jinglong had carefully and meticulously laid out would always deviate just the slightest at that last moment, because of an issue with his luck. For example, if he left Chang'an to Liginayan and brought the exorcists all the way down to the Jiangnan region, he fully expected that Xiaoyu would follow them over and ambush them along the way, stealing back Yeming's ashes as he did so. But he had never thought that Xiaoyu would follow far behind and never end up attacking. After they arrived in the Flowing Clouds mountain villa, Li Jinglong kept thinking that there was no way it would show itself now, right? Even if it did, they weren't afraid of it. They had set up traps, and all they had to do was to wait for it to spring the trap of its own accord. Yet how could he have guessed that Chu Yangxi would bid them such a last-minute, hasty farewell, and along with Hung Jun, run into that array, only to fall prey to Xiaoyu's ambush. He originally thought that since Xiaoyu had entered the dragon-subduing tower, he would simply have to pursue him inside. Instead, not only did it slip through his grasp, it even escaped, leaving himself trapped in the tower instead. Li Jinglong was truly resigned at that point. And this aside, throughout his entire life, he had often referred to himself as Akalanatha's successor, and he revived the exorcism department and taken up De Renge's last wish to protect the Great Tang, which was a source of great pride for him. But who would have expected that Akalanatha's artifacts wouldn't recognize this self-appointed successor at all? Hung Jun kept finding new ways to comfort him. Just because they don't recognize you now doesn't mean that they won't recognize you in the future, don't be dismayed over that. Plus, even if they really didn't acknowledge you, that's not a big deal. Sometimes, Li Jinglong still held on to a thread of hope, but at other times, he felt as if the future was entirely hopeless. As he worried over that endlessly, his heart was impossibly knotted up. But he could not give voice to his complaints, nor did he dare to, because he held up the entirety of the exorcism department, so he couldn't let anyone know of the way his trust had been swayed as he walked on this path. Now, his only hope lay in the promise that Yuan Kun had once made him, that on the northeastern battlefront, Chongming, Qingxiang, and the other heads of the Yao tribes would deal with Enlushan, and there would be no more problems there. However, Enlushan had already directed his armies down south, and there was still no movement from Yaojin Palace. Hung Jun still didn't know anything, and he constantly lived in optimism. This was also a habit that Li Jinglong had worked hard to maintain all this time, this attitude of with me here, you don't need to be afraid of anything, but now, Li Jinglong had finally discovered that what he had to face were not only Yao devils and the power of darkness that filled the world with resentment. Instead, after losing his unwavering trust in the power of Akalanatha, which had spurred him on all this time, his confidence had been greatly shaken. The artifacts were not willing to acknowledge him, which meant that this path would be very dangerous to traverse in the future, unless he were to immediately find the true successor. Otherwise, if Hung Jun ran into any sort of danger, Li Jinglong only had the heart lamp, and there were truly too many variables in that kind of situation. Sometimes, the future was not necessarily how he believed it to be, controlled in the palm of his hand as much as he could. Was there still something else that he hadn't done well? In these past few days, Li Jinglong had constantly been asking himself that question, especially after they had come out of the dragon-subduing tower. Had he been too arrogant? Had he underestimated his enemy too much and thought too simply of the situation, or were the heavens purposefully playing a joke on him? No matter how much he thought about it, he had no choice but to let it all come down to luck. But no matter what, Hung Jun had been able to sense that he was wavering and uneasy. After all, the power of the heart lamp directly influenced the seal placed in the depths of his heart. "Believe in me," Li Jinglong said simply. "I've always believed in you," Hung Jun replied, smiling. "When have you ever lied to me?" Though the future looked to be completely hopeless, as of right now, as Li Jinglong held Hung Jun, his heart finally calmed. Hung Jun's bare, youthful shoulders and back were pressed skin to skin against Li Jinglong's sturdy chest, and they each felt the other's burning body temperature. In this moment, they were uncharacteristically quiet. They didn't want to do anything, they simply wanted to lie there quietly, pressed up against each other. He had granted him the power and the courage to face the future, even if that future was filled with a dense, heavy fog. The waters of the canal beneath them splashed. In the darkness, they fell asleep in each other's arms, and Hung Jun once again had a dream. The entire world was strangely silent, and there was only the sound of the water in the canal below, when the sun rose, they would be arriving in Luoyang. On the dark surface of the water, the large ship's speed grew slower and slower, as if the flow of the water itself seemed to be unnoticeably changing. Suddenly, there was a huge boom. A dark monstrosity rose out of the water, roaring as it burst forth. It sent up a huge wave as it arced through the air. Li Jinglong immediately opened his eyes. Instantly, the ceiling of the room split apart as the outer wall cracked under the external force squeezing it, and a wave of river water came funneling in. The bed tilted swiftly, and the icy water splashed Hung Jun. He shouted with dread, "What's happening?" It was nearing midwinter, and the river water was incomparably icy. Plus, the blankets were weighing down on him. Just as Hung Jun turned over, Li Jinglong shouted, "Hung Jun! I'm over here." The entire ship had been crushed by that monster, and it instantly broke into pieces. In the span of a few short breaths, it sank into the water. Aside from Li Jinglong and Hung Jun on the ship, there were a large number of merchants heading up north, and those who lived in Guangzhou, Yuzhou, and the surrounding regions were especially anxious to go back and check on their wives and children. The surface of the river was instantly filled with shouting as hundreds of people either sank together with the boat, or speedily jumped ship to survive. There was another bellow, and Li Jinglong wrapped one arm around Hung Jun's waist as he leapt out of that split ship. Hung Jun opened up the pentacolor sacred light, blocking the wooden beams and pieces of deck that came crashing down on their heads. That monster actually came charging down right for the two of them, and just as it opened its gaping, bloody maw. In an instant, Li Jinglong saw it clearly. The monster had two wings and a snake's head twisted in a fierce grimace, and its mouth was opened wide as it bit down towards them with its fangs. Just as Hung Jun pulled his glaive free, he sank into the water. As soon as the cold water rushed over him, he couldn't tell which way was up. All he heard was a loud shout from Li Jinglong as he pulled out the sword of wisdom, and the light of the heart lamp shone forth from it, a brilliant light bursting into existence across the surface of the water. "Huashi!" Hung Jun shouted as soon as he bobbed to the surface. That beast, the Huashi, was just a little bit smaller than a Qiao, and it sent up huge waves on the surface of the river. Black qi billowed around its body, and when the heart lamp drove it off, it flew a little bit away. It then spread its wings, raising a wall of water almost 3 zhang tall upstream, which came crashing down at the two of them. A huge wave swept over them, instantly sending Li Jinglong flying outwards. As he flew through the air, he nimbly fished up the broken boards of the deck under his feet, throwing them at Hung Jun like they were shooting stars, shouting, "Catch!" Hung Jun grabbed that wooden board, so cold that his entire body was trembling. With another turn, Li Jinglong leapt onto another boat that was about to completely sink under the waves, and he pulled out the sword of wisdom. The Huashi, however, dove swiftly into the water, vanishing without a trace. After a short moment, it butted its head up again from underneath Li Jinglong's feet. With the power of the heart lamp, Li Jinglong had drawn the longbow, but just as he was about to shoot, he was completely interrupted. He fell back into the water as the Huashi swept its tail across. Even with the monstrous skills the two of them possessed, in the water, they were not this water monster's opponents. The surface of the canal fell very quiet again as the Huashi dove back into the water, vanishing without a trace. Just as Hung Jun was splashing around, a hand grabbed him, and Ashinakayang shouted, "It's me." Hung Jun swallowed a few mouthfuls of water. Another huge wave came crashing over them, and he and Ashinakayang lost each other once again. Li Jinglong roared, "Hung Jun!" With a splash, the Huashi actually charged forth and coiled itself around Li Jinglong, lowering its head to look at him. As soon as it heard Li Jinglong shout Hung Jun, it tossed him back into the water again. Hung Jun bobbed up and down on the surface of the river, searching for the light of Li Jinglong's heart lamp. But coils tightened around his body, and the Huashi lifted him into midair. Just as Hung Jun was about to pull out his glaive, he found himself tossed onto the riverbank, and he went plummeting into a thicket. Hung Jun's entire body was soaked, and he held his glaive in his hand, warily looking into that darkness. A pair of glowing eyes was watching him in the dark. Hung Jun asked, "Who are you?" "A fish asked me to save you and to ensure no harm came to you," that Huashi Yao said. "You don't know how to swim." Hung Jun. Before its words even finished resounding, the Huashi had already turned around, and it leapt into the air before plummeting back into the canal. End chapter. Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 142. The Seven Heavenly Formations of the Divine Capital. Luoyang, the Exorcism Department, early in the morning. Morigin and Atai had spent the entire night drinking, and now they each leaned up against the wall in the hall, waiting for their drunkenness to subside. Tu Reinduct came over and cleaned up the scattered plates and cups on the tables. There were quite a few overturned cups on the table, and several bowls with tall bases were stacked on top to form the Northern Dipper, which was probably an attempt at recreating the array present in the city of Luoyang. "Do you still want the sand table of yours?" Tu Reinduct asked. "If you don't want it anymore, I'm cleaning it up." Both of them blinked awake at the same time. Morigin's head hurt from how much he had drunk, and he staggered to his feet. "I'm going to go do my work right away." Atai and Ed. Last night, both of them had drunk so much that their faces were flushed with the alcohol, and they had argued for a good while before finally establishing some common ground. No matter if Li Jinglong was there or not, the array needed to be set. When they left Chang'an and headed south to Hangzhou, Li Jinglong had dug out letters that he had personally penned for the members of the Exorcism Department, in which he explained the arrangements in place in great detail to the rest of them. Back in the day, although the seven heavenly formations of the divine capitals were built under the command of Wu Zetian, Direnja had also buried an array underneath them, which could be used to protect against Mara someday in the future when it was possible that it would revive. But this array had never been verified, nor had it ever been used before, so everyone had been very skeptical of it. But it was still better that they had it, compared to nothing at all. Morigin was still feeling unbalanced, his tipsiness had not yet subsided. When he walked out of the doors to the exorcism department, Lu Su was there, his back against the red outer wall, waiting for him unconcernedly. "Where are you going?" Lu Su asked. "To do some tasks." "You go back and rest, I'll be fine on my own." In this past year and a half, Morigin had brought Lu Su along as he dashed east and west. Now that they had finally arrived in Luoyang, he wanted to let Lu Su be able to stay there peacefully. He didn't want to tire him out any further. But Lu Su replied mockingly, "Look at how you are right now. You can't even walk straight on your own. Let's go, let's go." Lu Su handed him a bamboo tube of water, and in the alleyway, Morigin tilted his head up and drank from it, before pouring the rest over his face. In the wintry chill of the last month, the main street of Luoyang was echoingly empty. There was not a single trace of warmth to be found in this wintry cold, nor the bustling atmosphere from back then. The two of them walked forward, one ahead, one behind. They didn't speak for the entire way there, until they arrived at the Mingtang. This place had originally been under a heavy guard, but since an inspector from the imperial court had arrived, a large number of Tang troops had been temporarily reassigned to the Hulao Pass in Xinyang to stand guard. The four gates to the city were shut tight, and the inspector was currently wantonly conscripting for the army. The citizens and the soldiers had all gathered outside the marketplace, and there was no one left here to guard it. Morigin and Lu Su easily entered the Mingtang. Morigin spread open the map, studied it for a moment, and said, "Head down." The two of them went through the backyard of the Mingtang into the kitchen. There was a cellar in the kitchen, and Morigin lit a light, searching for a while in the cellar, before hanging the lamp up. "It should be, right here," Morigin said. He then shoved his shoulder up against it, and Lu Su helped from the side, both of them pushing hard to open up a secret passageway. That passageway had already been built for almost 100 years, and as soon as the door opened, a swarm of mice came charging out. Lu Su immediately shrieked and jumped onto Morajin, who hurriedly reached out to pick him up. Morajin. Lu Su. After the mice had scattered, Morajin asked, "You're afraid of mice?" Lu Su's face was bright red as he replied, "When I was a soldier in Liangzhou, the soldiers in my squad frightened me with them before." Lu Su had been an idiot before, and back then, when he had been a scout, they slept in big barracks. There was one fellow soldier of his who had often played tricks on him for fun, and when his mouth was open as he slept, he lifted up a mouse by its tail and put the entire live mouse into his mouth. After that, Lu Su had always felt a bit of trauma towards mice. "Did you end up eating it?" Morajin asked. "Let's not talk about it anymore," Lu Su said angrily. "Else, I'm going to get mad." Morajin found this funny, and he reached out to touch Lu Su's face. Lu Su gave him a harsh kick in response. He had Morajin walk in the front, and told him not to spout any more nonsense. "Can this battle be won?" Lu Su asked Morajin in the shadows cast by the light as they wound through the twisting passageway. "It doesn't look like it," Morajin said. "But even if it's not a win, the fight still has to happen." "I was talking about us," Lu Su replied easily. "I was also talking about us," Morajin replied easily. "But you can run fast, so it's okay." When Lu Su heard that, he was so angry that he was left momentarily winded, before he demanded, "What kind of a person do you think I am?" Morajin said, "Atai and I discussed this last night. After an Lushan enters the city, everyone should go all out. If that really won't do, then every one of us that can escape counts as another one. Tu Reinduct is pregnant, so you've got to take her and run." "Lu Su, how many months along is she?" Morajin looked back, sending Lu Su a long, meaningful look, before lifting 3 fingers. Lu Su fell quiet for a while, before asking, "Is it very dangerous this time?" "Of course," Morajin replied. "En Lushan is determined to win, and it'll be just as hard as last time in Chang'an. Speaking of which, it's funny. The Great Tang was the cause for my mother's death, yet here I am, helping them guard their lands." Lu Su replied, "I thought that you got over this a long time ago." In reality, ever since he had returned from being a spy last time, Morajin had become a little wicked. When he smiled, he was still that hot-headed Morajin who the group had met in the exorcism department, but in front of Lu Su, he often showed his wolf-like instincts. His power was different from Li Jinglong's. Li Jinglong's was his towering belief in himself that stood firm like a mountain, while Morajin was filled with an aggressive arrogance. Morajin scratched his head, sniffing around in front of a crossroads as he said, "No thanks to you, though I did get over it." "Atai and Tu Reinduct haven't gotten married yet," Lu Su said. Morajin replied, "They'll probably get married soon." Originally, they wanted to wait for Zhenji to get out of the tower, but now, it looks like they won't be able to wait that long. "And, getting married is pretty good," Lu Su said. "Getting married?" Morajin seemed to have thought of something, but he didn't say anything more. They headed down an even deeper passageway. After walking for about the time it takes 1 stick of incense to burn down, they arrived in a great hall glowing with blue light. Lu Su let out a surprised sound. This was a place where earth veins intersected. Morajin was also seeing this sight for the first time, but he had heard Li Jinglong speak of it before. Last time, when they had come to Luoyang to get rid of the Yao, they had arrived at the earth veins hidden in the deepest part of a disused quarry. The divine land had 2 great veins, the divine vein and the earth veins. Everything had a soul. After they died, they would either return to the vast heavens above or to the earth below. These veins kept circulating, moving along endlessly. Where the rushing earth veins intersected or branched off, energy would sometimes spurt out and break through the earth, and these pathways were hidden in the deepest mines and underneath mountain valleys. There were often folk legends of mine workers who, during the opening of a mine, dug through the earth only to see some kind of Yao or monster. Those were simply illusions created by the earth veins. And the more the source of those earth veins' power surged tempestuously, the more the development of the mountains, the growth of the trees, and the flow of the rivers flourished tremendously. Geomancers often dubbed those places where the earth veins flowed in a particularly lively fashion to be the dragon veins. Direnja had once conducted a detailed study of one of these legends, and the intersection of the scattered mountain ranges outside Luoyang was where the dragon veins gathered. Ever since the time of the Emperor of Zhou, it had been set as the center of the divine land, and was named Luyi, a place where the power of the earth veins was very prosperous. And as expected, when the 7 heavenly formations of the divine capital were built, after digging up the ground, they had discovered the exits to the earth veins. Where the Mingtang sat was right over the biggest exit of the earth vein. Back and forth across the surface of this great hall ran the lines of the devil elimination array that Direnja had created from the power of the earth veins, and an ancient talisman had been pasted over it. Morrigan went forward and reached out 2 fingers, pinching the talisman and pulling it aside. With a crisp wang, a fountain of the earth veins energy swelled into the array, and the array immediately glowed brilliantly. The 2 of them backed up a bit. "How do we use this array?" Lu Su asked inquisitively. "Use it as a guide," Morrigan replied. This was only a very early stage thought of Direnja's. The 7 heavenly formations of the divine capital had an abundance of earth vein power underneath them, and if they were all released, then the power of the earth veins could then flow towards the surface of the ground. The exorcists could then guide this power to themselves, instantly bolstering their own cultivation 10, hundreds, or even thousands of times beyond its usual capacity, so that they could use the power of pure magic to attack Mara directly. "Who will guide it?" Lu Su asked. Morrigan shrugged, his expression full of confusion. Lu Su replied, "This is too childish." Morrigan shrugged helplessly. He tucked the talisman into his robes, before gesturing for them to leave. Lu Su, however, did not back down an inch, and he asked, "So simply guiding the power of the earth veins can defeat Mara? Then what are Zhenji and Hung Jun going to such great lengths for?" Morrigan replied, "We don't even know if we can use it yet. If you ask me, who am I supposed to go ask? Even Zhenji couldn't come up with a plan. This is just giving it a try. Then who exactly will control this array?" A strong sense of unease swelled in Lu Su's heart. But when they returned to the main hall of the Ming Tang, a group of Tang soldiers suddenly appeared, completely surrounding them. "Who goes there?" the Tang troops shouted. One military commander asked angrily, "Where did you come from? How dare you set foot so impudently in the Ming Tang? Arrest them all." Morrigan simply lifted a hand, revealing the command tally of the exorcism department in it. He evidently didn't want to say too much, so he coldly spat out 2 words. "Fuck off." Lu Su thought, "Why are you trying to come across as cruel and cold?" "So," he said on Morrigan's behalf, "the exorcism department of the Great Tang is carrying out official business. All unrelated personnel should take their leave." That military commander, however, chuckled coldly. "What kind of nonsense is this exorcism department of the Great Tang? The way I see it, you're probably spies. Come with me." As soon as those words were spoken, Morrigan grew enraged. Just as the Tang soldiers were about to charge forward, Lu Su took a step back, knowing that Morrigan would take care of it. As expected, Morrigan simply turned around, turning into a whirlwind. Before the Tang troops could even see his movements properly, they were sent tumbling to the ground. There was a blur in front of the commander's eyes, and he found his throat in the grasp of powerful fingers. His entire body was lifted into the air, his feet leaving the ground. Lu Su looked as if he couldn't bear to watch to the end. Morrigan lifted his hand, his right hand raising that commander even higher into the air, while with his left, he pulled out a short knife, holding it up against that commander's armor. The military commander immediately looked horrified, and Lu Su said, "It's enough. Don't go too far." Morrigan then tossed that commander to the ground, and the commander immediately started to grovel. "Spare my life. Milord, please spare my life. It was I who was too blind to understand that Mount Tai stood before me." "Lu Su. What is your name?" Morrigan asked calmly. That military commander knelt on the ground, his features handsome and open. He simply continued to beg, "This lowly one is named Bi Sichen, who has come on behalf of His Majesty's orders to help defend Luoyang. I truly did not know that, milord, you were here on official business, and I hope that you can extend your infinite kindness and forgive the offense I have caused." In his heart, Lu Su wanted nothing more than to curse him out. That damned emperor had sent this kind of person to guard Luoyang? "I've heard of you," Morrigan said, with sympathy in his gaze. "You're drafting more men, right?" Bi Sichen lifted a foot, trying to rise, tremblingly, to his feet. Upon hearing those words, he hurried to nod. "Yes, yes. Morrigan, did I tell you you could stand? Kneel." Bi Sichen hurriedly went back to kneeling. Lu Su thought to himself, "Who knows what official rank this person holds, but since he has been ordered here by Li Longji, he must be an imperial envoy, and if he's an imperial envoy, then that means he represents the emperor himself. Letting him continue to kneel like this would truly be treason, and if he went back with resentment in his heart and wanted to cause trouble for the exorcism department, they would probably never hear the end of this." Morrigan dug a finger into his ear, before saying easily, "If there are any guards at the other 6 of the 7 heavenly formations, dismiss them all." "Yes, yes," Bi Sichen hurriedly said. "If you dare to surrender," Morrigan glared meaningfully at Bi Sichen, "even if you escape to the ends of the world, I will take your life, you son of a bitch." Bi Sichen hurriedly said, "If the city lives, so will I. If the city falls, it will have done so over my dead body." Morrigan then strode right past Bi Sichen. Lu Su followed behind him, and he turned and glanced at Bi Sichen, who was still kneeling on the ground. "Will it be okay if this guy is guarding the city?" Lu Su asked. "I feel like that may be a little risky." "You shouldn't have offended him." Morrigan replied, "I'm not Li Jinglong, who treats all these officials nicely and politely. I don't have any interest in minding what faces they are making." Lu Su was completely speechless. He wanted nothing more than for Feng Changqing to come quickly. As soon as An Lushan rebelled, Guangzhou and its surrounding regions had already started to conscript men at an increased pace, and armies were being mobilized. At this moment, whoever arrived in Luoyang first would potentially be able to claim control over this ancient, 1,000-year capital. Morrigan and Lu Su were in charge of the 4 major heavenly formations inside the city, while Atai was in charge of the other 3. The array under Mount Longmen was the furthest away, right where Li Jinglong had dealt with the Yaoguai in the past. The exit to the earth vein lay in ruins, but where the Kun god had escaped from underground, there was another layer deeper down. Morrigan and Lu Su were both very well accomplished in terms of Qinggong, and they had brought ropes along as they traversed this ruinous abyss. They leapt and clambered down to the bottom level, where Morrigan transformed into the grey wolf, shoving aside the boulders and the rotting supports. Thankfully, the array itself had not been destroyed. After taking the talisman away, they found that they had been working for an entire day, and finally, they met up again in the plaza of the Tongtian Futu outside the exorcism department. Atai held 3 talismans, which he handed to Morrigan. "Each corresponds to an array," Atai said. "Did you end up eating it?" "Lu Su is a saint for putting up with him." Morrigan, N. Without even looking at them, he put them away. Lu Su could guess faintly that since the array had already been recovered, Activating it at any given moment had something to do with these aged talismans. Morrigan and Atai had evidently discussed this beforehand, and there were many things that they hadn't told him. Ever since leaving Yuzhu a year ago, Morrigan had spoken much less. After setting up the array in Luoyang, the only thing everyone could do now was to wait for the army to arrive and attack. End chapter.